You are watching Macro TV and we are busy with Study Unit 3, which is Chapter 6 in Fourie and Burger. And it's all about the ADAS model, aggregate demand and aggregate supply, the economy as a whole. Now we know that the macroeconomic equilibrium has a short run and a long run aspect. In the short run, you have an equilibrium at the intersection of the AD and the short run AS curve, for example, over here. In the long run, the intersection has to be on the long run AS curve, which is at a income level that it could be called the structural or the long run equilibrium level of income. So it is possible for the economy to have a level of income that is higher than this long run level for a short period of time. And then there's a adjustment process that takes place and it brings the economy back to its long run equilibrium level. We'll talk through that in a moment. So let's say that there's a demand expansion. The economy starts with initial equilibrium in the long run position at an income level YS and a price P0, and then there's an increase in aggregate demand. This could be due to an increase in government spending, an exogenous increase in exports, a decrease in the repo rate, any of these positive shocks that leads to sort of an increase in aggregate demand, so expansionary policy, if that's the case. Now, what happens is that this increase in aggregate demand causes the firms to also increase production. So they employ more of the factors of production and output and incomes increase up to this new equilibrium level between the aggregate supply curve in the short run and the aggregate demand curve. But we know in the background, if you are sort of producing at a level above the long run equilibrium, that starts to put pressure on the prices of the factors of production. So the marginal product of labor decreases as you produce more and more with more labor and a fixed supply of capital. And at the same time, production costs will also start to increase a bit. So price levels are now increasing slightly. Now the question is this short run equilibrium sustainable or will we return back to the long run? Let's see what happens. Now the adjustment is typically that there is now a difference between the price level that laborers and other owners of the factors of production expected in equilibrium, that was the P0, but because of this increase in demand, there's been an increase in prices up to P1. And now people say, my money is buying less, my buying power is not what it used to be, I also want an increase in my wage. And that now starts to influence the aggregate supply. So when nominal wages start to increase, the aggregate supply curve moves to the left. And you can see this movement from the equilibrium at Y1, P1, there's a leftward shift of the aggregate supply curve, a contraction of output as the costs start to increase. And once costs have increased, that means that there is a reduction in the AS curve. Prices go up again, people again demand higher wages, and prices increase to the level of P2, where you're back at the long run equilibrium level of output and income in this economy. So you have the AD curve, the short run AS curve, and the long run AS curve back in equilibrium at the income level YS and price P2. Now, the key thing to realize is this adjustment due to an increase in aggregate demand occurs via the difference between actual and expected prices. When the actual prices are higher, for a while it's possible to increase the output, but then expectations catch up and the costs of the factors of production, specifically the wages, start to increase, and this moves the short run AS curve up and to the left, back into the long run equilibrium. In the next few videos, we'll look at specific shocks and policies and how we can use the ADAS to model this and show what is the impact on output and income and also the impact on prices. Stay tuned.